Hi, welcome to AllBrands After Hours with me, your host, Courtney Douthat. Welcome to the show where we hang out and craft together. Today we're using our brother ScanNCut and our brother Luminarie to make a memory bear out of a loved one's clothes. Let's do this. So this has been on my list to make for quite a while. So right here I have one of my father-in-law's shirts, one of my mother-in-law's shirts, and another one of her shirts. And I really want to use some of these. I even have some fabric out of her collection. So I've been wanting to make a memory bear with her clothes and with his. We lost her about 3 years ago. Oof. And I thought it would be a very wonderful gift to give their children a bear with their clothes made in it from their mom and dad. So I have some of their clothes, and don't worry, I've pre-checked. They're totally fine with me cutting up the clothes. I have pre-checked. So I had this shirt, and I thought it was really, really nice, and honestly a lot of fabric. And then have this top. I'm thinking maybe we don't do this top, and we do this fabric. It has music notes on it, and she was huge into music, loved music. And then we have this nice blue, and then I have this jean little button up, and it's got a little bear on it on both sides. So I thought, how cute would it be to make sure that this embroidered bear, oh, it smells like her. This embroidered, I'm not crying on the show. So this embroidered bear was on some part of the bear. Like how beautiful is that? And I'm pretty sure she probably embroidered this. It's done very well. I'm pretty sure it was probably one of hers. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna put this to the side just for right now, do not worry. And I'm gonna just prep my fabric. Now I do have right here a pattern that I'm going to use today. Now, Courtney, what pattern is this? How do I get this pattern? I always see that question. This pattern I got off of Etsy, and I will link it down below for you guys. And all I did was I printed out the pattern so it looked like this. And I just took a piece of regular computer paper and I traced over the pattern. That way I can scan this into my machine and save it to my machine. Once I have it saved into my machine, I never have to scan it again. It's a saved bear pattern in my machine. So if I want to make these for other people, or someone else's loved one, I already have the bear pattern. Or if I just want to make this for like my niece, I need to do that. But if I wanted to make it for her, the bear pattern is just already in the machine. So again, I'll link down below the bear pattern that I'm personally using. Now, before I scan anything in, the first thing that I want to do is actually take the clothes and prep my fabric. Courtney, what does that mean? Well, I'm actually going to take it and cut it. I'm just going to go ahead and cut just some pieces. That way I can put them on my mat and I can just go ahead and start cutting it out. So I'm going to try to lay it out and use pretty large pieces. So fabric scissors to the rescue. So I'm just gonna cut along where the seam is, because I don't want any extra seams in my bear. Okay. There we go. All right, it's a pretty big piece. And no stains. There we go. Okay, so now I have one piece ready to go into my ScanNCut, so I'm gonna put that there. Now, Courtney, are you gonna pre-treat the fabric before you actually cut it out? No, I'm not, because I'm gonna use my fabric mat with my rotary blade today, and it's going to cut fantastically. So no, I'm not pre-treating this. Now I could, if I wanted to add some stiffness to it, use like Ethereal Magic, and that washes out. It's just like a starch. You're good. Another piece of fabric. And that's just like a really nice starch, but that it washes out when you wash whatever your thing is, so that way it doesn't stay stiff like that. Love Ethereal Magic. It's fantastic. But today I'm just gonna go ahead and just use a really nice fabric mat and my rotary blade. My rotary blade is just a little bit more careful and gentle with things, so you get less shifting sometimes than like my thin fabric blade. Not that the thin fabric blade can't do it, it's just that rotary blade does it so well. There we go. Man, I'm getting a lot out of this shirt. I'm gonna have to make sure whatever the biggest part of my bear is coming out of this particular fabric. But I like that the pattern is in pieces, so if you wanted to use more than 2 or 3 fabrics, you could use a ton and use as many as you want. Really just put in a lot of fabric or a lot of clothes that people will remember. Oh, you know, someone used to wear this, and it's just a nice moment. Alrighty, so I'm going to keep the rest of the shirt, maybe even this bit, I don't know, over to the side in case I do need additional fabric for it, but I do have these pieces. Alright, and let's go ahead and take this one. How cute are these together? That's going to be a really cute bear. Alright, so I know that I want this embroidery right here to definitely be in there, so I want to make sure I cut that out. Okay, so I have a lot of fabric to play with here, but if I needed more, then honestly, I could just cut open the arms, like down the slit of the arm where the seam is right there, and then open it up, and that would give me another piece of really big fabric. So I'm good right now, but nice option to know that I have in the back of my, in my back pocket if I do need it. Oh man, this really did cover a lot of fabric. I am good. Okay, fantastic. I'm glad I picked these 2 items. Alrighty, so now that I have that, I'm going to grab my scanning mat. Boop, there we are. And what I'm going to do is put in the first piece of my pattern, which is this little guy. I think it's his nose, and part of his head, his ears. And I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. Fantastic. Wake our machine up. Alrighty, and we're going to hit scan. Scan to cut data, or data, however you say it, and hit start. Now, I usually put my lever on the side down to a 1. It gives me a better scan, but it's 100% up to you. Hit start. And that lever is right here on the side, so you could either go to a 2 or go down to a 1. Personally, when I do my scans, I go down to a 1. There we go. Here she comes. All right, fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And it's going to recognize it and turn it into a cut file, or you could draw it if you really wanted to. Fantastic. Now we have 2 different options. We could tell it, hey, we just want the outside, or we want the inner and the outer. Well, I only have an outside, so this is perfect. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And now it's going to go ahead and ask me, where do I want to save? I want to save to my machine. And now, how cool is this? I now have bear pattern in my machine. Granted, this is just 3 pieces of him, but like, that's so neat. So I never have to scan that piece in. I have it saved into my machine. All right, we're gonna hit OK. Ta-da! Now, I could go ahead and hit home, hit OK, and then I could go to retrieve data from my machine, scroll down to the bottom, and there's part of my bear. How cool is that? Hit OK. And now I can edit it, I can change it, anything I want. I could select the part of it and bring it over here because it is 3 different parts to the bear. So I could do that if I wanted to. Now for this particular bear, it does tell me, hey, you only need 1 of these, which is the nose piece, but you do need, what, 4 of these, and you need another 1 of these. So I could just hit edit, object edit, hit a plus to get a second 1 of them. How cool is that? And I could have it cut out both sides if I wanted to. Now for this pattern, I do need to flip the head. So I'm just gonna boop and flip. How cool is that? So now I have both sides of the head. I know, it's so cool. So, and then for my ears, I need 4 of those. So I would just select that I want 4. Now I do want 2 of them to be cut out of the same fabric. So I'm gonna hit 2 and then cut out these 2 ears. The nose, I do want cut out of a different fabric than the face. This part of the face, the side of it. So I am going to delete it out for now. Courtney, why are you deleting it out? Because I don't want it cut out of this fabric that I'm about to put on. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK and delete him out. There we go. How cool is that? So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy right here. This guy, I mean, I could rotate it if I wanted to and really use up any of my fabric. So let's see. We'll move this guy here. This guy here, like this. There we go. So now I'm using up less of my fabric. Now I could go at scanning more if I wanted to and find more pieces that I want to cut out of that particular fabric, but I'm so excited to get pieces cut out that I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and we're gonna hit okay. Okay again, please select, and we wanna cut. And like I said before, we are using the rotary blade because she is one of my favorite, but I know she'll be very careful because this is not regular cotton fabric. This is, I think it's a polyester blend, I'm not sure, for the shirt, and then the other one's a jean. So I want her to be careful with this fabric, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use my rotary blade. It is fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna unload our scanning mat. We will have to use her in just a little bit, but for right now, we're done with her. And I'm gonna grab my fabric mat. So today I am using my gold or tan, whatever you want to call it, fabric mat and my rotary blade. Let's see, now for this part, I think I want the sides of his face to be this fabric. I'm calling it fabric just so I don't cry. All right, there we go. Lay it down on there. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna grab my brayer tool and just make sure it brayers on down in there. Fantastic. There it goes. All right. I love this because this is reusing it in some kind of way. It's like recycling, but in a very sweet, kind way. Alrighty, let's hit start. And here she goes. So she's gonna come over and she's gonna test how thick my fabric is and then cut it out beautifully. And again, I just love that rotary blade. She's so careful with material. Now, the rotary blade does have 2 settings on it. It's just regular and fine. I've never had to use fine. Like, where it's even more delicate, I've never had to do that before because the rotary blade itself just does a great job. But that option is there. If you ever feel like you need it or you want it or anything like that, it is there. It's in the settings, so the wrench icon. There it goes. That is so cool. So once that part is done, I'm gonna move on to my next pieces and just assembly line them like that. Oh, it's done. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it off. I'm gonna be good about using my spatula tool. I'm just gonna go from the end. Oops, let me get all this from underneath. And just wiggle. I'm wiggling. Courtney, be good about taking this off. No. Oh, that is so cool. Oh, look at this. Okay, I'm still gonna keep this because that's a pretty decent size of little fabric right there. Now, to get these off, very, very sticky mat. Look at this. All right, I pulled that other stuff and some fibers, threads came off. So we're gonna be good. Remember, this was untreated. So I'm gonna be good about putting my spatula underneath and wiggling. And I'm going to take very gentle care of getting it off of my mat because this is a very sticky fabric mat. And I really wanna make sure that I don't fray it on the ends too bad. Your machine did a fantastic job cutting it out. Like, be nice to it. Help her help you, you know? There you go. Now, I'm still getting a bit of fraying at the end, mostly because I'm impatient, but also, that's totally normal. If you are really worried about that, again, you can use Carol Magic and it won't fray as bad. This is fine. I know this will be fine. I'm gonna stitch it and everything will be a-okay. So I'm not too worried about it. You see where I got annoyed and just pulled? Where everything else is perfect. Okay, so there's one piece. That is so good. And even if you wanted to like keep your pattern that you printed out and just like lay it on there so you remember what is what. I mean, all the shapes are pretty different, so I kind of feel like I know what is what, but just in case you wanted that, that is an option. Oh, I'm getting stuck to the mat. There's one of his ears. So cute. Oh, I love it. Okay, here you go. just pulled it. Don't do that. All right, there you go. There's that piece. She's pretty sticky, so I don't feel like I really need to clean it yet. But I'm gonna go ahead and put my next piece, which is a denim piece, on there because I really want to see what it does. All right, here we go. Now, this is a pretty funny piece. It's got a big cut out of it because it was near the armhole. So what I'm going to do is actually lay my other pieces on there, and then I'm going to scan in my material, and then that way I can make sure I'm using it up correctly. So I'm not putting anything where the hole is or anything like that, but I'm still gonna get to be able to use that piece of fabric. Now, usually I would say it's totally fine to leave this off the back of it, but since I am gonna scan it in, just go ahead and cut it off. Okay. All right, let's load her in. All right, so I'm gonna hit okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and come home, hit okay, retrieve data, because remember that's where we saved that design that we had scanned in, and we need to grab the nose and 2 more ears. All right, so I'm gonna hit edit, and I'm gonna go ahead and delete out the side of the face because I've already cut that out. Now I have my nose, and I need to grab another ear. So object edit, the plus sign, plus, there we go. So now I have all the pieces that I need to cut out of this particular one. All right, so let's hit okay. And we're going to hit okay again, and then we're gonna scan in, which is the mat with the bar through it. And hit start, and this is gonna scan in my mat so I can see on screen what's on my mat. And then I can move around any of my pieces to make sure that I'm, oop, she wanted me to go up to a 2. She was like, please go up to a 2. There's thick parts on here. Anyways, so now when she scans it in, I can see what's on my mat and be able to pieces and properly use up my material. Now, could I be fitting more pieces on here if I wanted to? Absolutely, I could. But it is nice to go ahead and just get this part done. Alrighty, so there's my fabric. Courtney, it's really hard to see. You can hit the wrench icon and lighten it. I can see it perfectly in person, but I know sometimes the camera wants to play tricks. Alrighty, so now we have these pieces, and honestly, I really could have fit more on there. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut out like this, and then save that bottom part for something else. But how nice is that? So I really could fit as many pieces in as I want. So I'm gonna hit okay, please select, cut, and again, we're gonna use our rotary blade, and start. So once I have all the pieces scanned in, when I go to do this again, it's gonna be so much easier just to like lay as many as I can that I want out of that particular fabric and just go for it. So fantastic. Bam, done. So good. All right, so before I even take this off my mat, well, I kind of really want to. Which again, still saving that because that's a lot of material. It's so good. Oh man, I am a giant crafting nerd and I'm okay with that. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start getting it off my mat. Now, if I was smart, I wouldn't pull. Look at the nose, cute. Okay, put that over there. If I was smart, I would just go ahead and scan in my next part and just kind of assembly line them. There you go, cute. And then, so I'm doing all of his head first because my thought is I could go ahead and sew his head while the rest of it's being cut out and then just assembly line them perfectly. All right, so I have the arm right here and then the other part of his nose. So the tip of his nose, I'm gonna go ahead and scan that in, hit okay. And I'm just gonna go back home, hit okay, scan to cut data, and hit start. Alrighty, there it is, hit okay. All right, fantastic. So I just want the outer parts again and hit okay. Save to my machine. Now this is a pretty large bear. If you had a smaller bear, I'm sure you could put more pattern pieces on there. Or if you were using the 12 by 24 mat, I love those. They have a scanning, standard, low tack, and they do not currently have a fabric, which I hope they come out with one day. All right, so I'm gonna hit home, retrieve data from my machine. And there it is. How awesome is that? So I'm going to load my scanning mat. Now I know that I want the nose part right there and the arm part, which is that part, to be cut out of the denim. I want that to be out of plaid. So I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete out that part for now, which don't worry, we saved it, remember? Hit OK. And I only need one of the noses, but I do need another part of the arm. So I'm going to edit, hit plus, get a second one of them. And of course, I am going to flip it because it's on the other side. There we go. And there's all my parts that I need to cut out. Alrighty, so thank you, scanning mat, again. Appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and take my mat. Let's see. I feel like this is a little bit bigger than what I need, but I am going to keep this. There we go. Grab another piece. How cool is this? This is the end of the shirt, like the little swoop part. Like how neat. So it's like that, but I'm going to put it in there sideways to cut it out. Okay. And again, I'm going to scan because scanning is so great, so I can use up pieces, especially when I start getting to the end of my bear. Like pieces like this are going to be handy. All right, hit OK. OK again. Scan. Alrighty. Oh, how good is that? So I really could just bring this one right here if I wanted to, and use up that little piece if I wanted. I could bring this one here. I could even rotate them if, like, edit, object edit, and then rotate them if I feel like I could fit them a little bit better. Something like that. I could bring that there, you know, bring it here. Oh, not noting. That, I could rotate him. How cool is that? Awesome, and then I still get to keep this piece. All right, hit OK. OK again. OK again. OK again. Please select, and I want to cut. Start. All right, this one's finished. It's so cool. It is so cool. All right. I really should be more careful when I do this part. I can't help it, it's cool. There you go. Okay, I might be able to get a little bit out of this piece. We'll just put it over there. Okay, I'd rather have it than not have it, right? All right, so we're going to put the spatula underneath. You know the drill. I can't find my metal spatula. This one's the one, the plastic one that comes with your machine. They're also great, so don't throw them away, but they do sell a metal one, and I have one. I don't know what I did with it. All right. That's so cool. It's part of his little arm. That's cool. Okay, there we go. Okay, there's his other side. And then part of his little nose. I think this is the point part. The other part was like this part. I'm so excited. I even have buttons and stuff like that from her collection to make into the nose and the eyes and stuff. How cool is this? Okay, so we got those parts right there. Right, scanning mat comes back into play. How cool is this to be able just to do it out of the drawings and not have to bring it into a software or anything like that? It's all just done in the machine. Now they do have Brother Canvas, which is Brother software that you could do something similar in, and you could take a photo and then be able to like scan it and then send it, but you can just do everything in the machine. It is a standalone machine. So software, yes, but do you have to use it? No. All right, hit OK. Back home. All right, scan. Cut data. You guys are going to be pros in this. There we go. I want the outside of it. Oh, it cut a little bit of the end of that. I did not notice that till just now, the end of the paper. It's a good scan. All right, to my machine to save. Don't worry, I can delete that out later. So if you didn't want a part of your scan, you can totally edit that. Again, all in one machine. It's fantastic. All right, hit OK. Back home. Retrieve data from my machine. All right, hit OK. And now I can go to Edit, Selector Tool. I'm going to do one of the selector that you can actually select down. because it's a lot of little bits and it would take me a while to delete out each one of them. So if I do this and select that whole group like that, I can hit OK, throw the whole thing away. Bam. And now I only have one piece. How awesome is that? All right, I'm going to load the scanning mat, and let's load up our fabric mat. There we go. Now, I could just scan this. I know that if I put this fabric right here, it's going to be fine. So I don't think I'll scan it this time. I know that I'm good. Hit OK. OK again. Please select and cut. So you don't have to scan your fabric every time. But if you want to, it's a nice option to have. So let's hit start. And there she goes. All right, so that's the back of my head. So now I'll have all the pieces to the head. And I do need to cut out his little palms and then the rest of him, but at least I'll have enough to go ahead and start sewing his head while ever this is cutting out. So once it's cutting out the next piece, I'm good to go. All right, there she's done. All right. I think this is the biggest piece we've cut out so far, huh? Nice. Spatula tool. All right, so got that piece, and I could go ahead and just keep going and scanning them in, cutting them out. So the first piece I want to sew are the ears, and yes, I did change some of the fabric colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to put two of the ears right sides together. Of course, the coordinating fabrics, unless you're making yours out of the same fabric color. And I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around the ear, like the moon shape of it, but leaving that opening at the bottom where it's flat. This way I can turn it right sides out, and then once I have it right sides out, I'm going to stitch along that flat edge, the straight line, and stitch it closed right there. And I'll do this for both set of ears. We're going to go ahead and set our ears to the side. I'm going to go ahead and get the side of the face of our bear. Now, there are little darts at the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and fold it together so that little dart lines up, and go ahead and just sew it down. So that way it makes those little things come out and gives our bear shape. So I'm going to do it on both sides of his little face. All right, so I have both of them laying here. I'm going to go ahead and take the upper part of his little nose. I guess it's like his forehead. And I'm going to go ahead and put the fabric right sides together, do one side and then do the other, and go ahead and sew all the way from the top of his head right there down to where his nose would have started. We're going to meet up the other sides, right sides together, and again, sew from the top down to the bottom. I don't think I've mentioned it, but I am doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance because that's what the pattern called for, and that's just always what I use. I don't know why, but it works perfectly. All right, now that I have, a majority of his face done, I'm going to go ahead and grab his nose. His nose looks like little lips to me, but we're going to go ahead. I like to fold it in half to find that center, and I'm going to put it in the center of his forehead at the bottom, and then I went ahead and clipped it just so I knew where it was. Sped up, but I did stop my machine a few times just to rearrange my fabric to make sure everything laid nicely since we are doing a curve. Now there is a little bit like a tab at the end, so do not worry that it doesn't meet up. It's supposed to not meet up right there. Now, since I did start in the middle and only went halfway, I did flip the fabric just to make it easier for myself and then did the other side. But again, stopping my machine quite a lot to making sure my fabric is where I want it to be. You could totally pin this Wonder Clips or regular pins, whatever you prefer. Now that the top part of our nose is connected, I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half right sides together and go ahead and meet up that curve because we're going to be sewing completely down the nose and then a little bit onto like where his chin is right there. Again, don't feel bad about taking it slow. You can totally take it slow, and that way you get a pretty stitch. All right, so I'm just going to do that little tab. Now, spoiler alert, I did go back and round out his nose because I didn't like how pointed it was. So technically, I gave our bear a nose job, and I'm okay with that. All right, so we're going to take our ears that we made earlier, and I'm just going to go ahead and stitch them down to the front of the face. So I'm putting the front part I want, so right sides together again, and I'm just going to go ahead and stitch them on there. That's what the pattern says, and actually I'm really glad. So that way I didn't have to worry about putting the back fabric on there and making sure they're in the correct position. We don't want our bear friend looking confused, now do we? All right, so after I've made those cute little ears on there, love them, we're going to go ahead and take the back of our little head, and we're going to sew up each dart. There's a dart at the top and a dart at the bottom, so I'm just going to sew both of those on that diagonal to make the little shape of the back of his head. All right, so we're going to take the front of our face, our little bear face, and the correct sides, so right sides together. I'm going to go ahead and pin. I'm going to sew all the way around his head, making sure the ears are tucked in, leaving the bottom part open so that way we can flip him right sides out whenever it's time. So now that his head's done, we're going to take his little chest and then part of his leg, so his lower part of his leg, and we're going to go ahead and connect them both on the longer parts at the bottom. So right sides together and sew down that seam. And of course, I'm going to do this to the second part that is just like this one for the other side of his chest. Now that plaid part did have a dart to it, so I did go ahead and transfer that onto my fabric. I actually only transferred half of it, and then I folded it in half and just went ahead and sewed all the way around that curve to create that dart. This is the part that's just going to make him look like he actually has little feet at the bottom. It's very cute. Alright, so we're going to put both chest pieces right sides together and just sew all the way down until we get to where that foot actually sticks out. So starting by his neck and then just coming all the way down. This is going to make his tummy, so this is going to be the front part of our bear. Is really starting to take shape now. So the next piece that we're going to work on is his another little hand. So I'm going to put those long sides together and go ahead and stitch down. And again, I'm going to do this for this piece and as well as the other piece. So there's two parts to his hand. One where it shows the little palm that I have right here in that whitish fabric, and then the other one which is a solid piece in the back. After that, I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the main body of our bear. So I'm going to put that, and you see how that curve matches perfectly with that curve. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that curve down, and that will connect his little arm, well, part of it. And doing it again for his other arm. All right, now we're going to switch to making the back of our bear. So I'm going to go ahead and take his back and sew down the darts. There's just one dart right at the top. And take the back arm piece and go ahead and connect that at each of the armholes on the back part. All right, we're moving and grooving. So this is the part, this like his little pants, or I call it his little pants, his little bottoms. But we're going to go ahead and put the right sides together of both of those pieces and then sew right down the center. So it actually makes it look like his little pants at the bottom. Perfect. And then we'll take the little pants and the shirt, and they both have a curve at the bottom of them, or technically at the top. And we're going to meet those up and then sew all the way around that curve. And that'll connect the back of the bear to his like bum and the bottom part of his legs. So that is his legs and his little tush. But it's really cute how it does with this curve, and it actually looks like he's like bending a little bit. It's very, very cute. So we're going to go ahead and sew all the way through. And then once we have that sewn, we can move on to our next part, which is actually connecting the bear together. So we're going to take the back part of him. This is the right side sticking out. We're going to take the front part of him and line everything up. And we're going to stitch around, leaving an opening at where his head's going to go, and then opening there at the bottom where his feet are going to go. So wonder clips and going slow was my friend in this situation, because I wanted to make sure everything lined up, because this is the outline of our bear. This is the actual shaping of him. So I'll come to the hands right here, and I'm just going to easy does it all the way around so I get a nice curve. So he has nice little hands, little mittens. There we go. When I got to sew the inner part of his legs, I went ahead and just met up the seams straight in the middle and then gave them a little clip with a wonder clip. That way I knew that I was meeting them up correctly, and he had proportional legs. Next, we're going to sew the little bottom of his feet, and we're just going to go around in a circle on both sides of the feet just to connect it at the bottom, and that will close up the bottom of our bear. Last thing we have to do is put the bear head inside of its body and then sew it closed. Now, I do leave a little gap in the back of its head. That way I can, turn everything right sides out, but also that's how I'm going to stuff the bear. Now, I filled my bear with just some polyfill, nothing crazy, but if you had scraps from this project, you could actually use that and, cut them up small, put them in there, and that could be used for filler for your bear and really, use up all the little bits. But I wanted him kind of squishy and soft to snuggle with, so I did fill it up with that polyfill, but you could, again, fill it whatever you prefer. So I just went ahead, closed his neck up, and he did great. And I whip stitched that opening closed once I filled it up with the polyfill, and I did start filling his feet first. Then I worked up the little of his tummy, did his arms, and then did his head, then filled up the rest of the tummy. And it was just easier for me to get to the different parts of the bear. And he came out completely adorable. I absolutely love him. Now, if I did have to do something different next time, I wasn't thrilled with my feet. I thought they were cute, but I wish I would have done them a little bit better. I mean, in the camera, it looks adorable. No one's going to notice that but me. But isn't that always how all of our projects go? We always notice every little imperfection. Are you ready to see the completed bear? Well, this is just gonna have to be one of my favorite things I've ever made. There's no choice in it. So I absolutely love this. I think it came out great. Don't forget that the Brothers ScanNCut is available on our website, as well as tons of other awesome items like Brothers Stellaires, Brother 6 needles, all sorts of awesome things. Or if you're near one of our retail stores, we now have 8 of them. Go ahead and go visit any of them, because again, we have so many awesome things in the retail stores and on our website. And when you purchase through us, not only are you supporting a small mom and pop family owned business, but you're also helping us continue this free education that we do. And we truly appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. All right, guys, Happy New Year, because I will not see you before the new year. So Happy New Year to everyone. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because it's the easiest way to let us know that you guys want more of these videos. Y'all have a good night. Bye, y'all. Courtney Douthat. Welcome to the show where we hang out and craft together. Today we're using our Brother Luminaire, and that's not a Luminaire, that's a ScanNCut. That's a Luminaire. Redo. And here I was worried that I wouldn't have enough material, but dear goodness, I've got a lot. And a stain. We won't use that part. Oh God, you scared me. You're okay. What? Yeah, but they're staring at that.
Do you want me to hang out here with you while you work? And get some work done, or do you want me to go home with the kids?
Whatever you prefer.
I'll just get them all. Let's get some work done.
Okay, don't mind me, I'm talking to myself.
Okay.
I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to them.